Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dusk, delete as appropriate, and welcome to everyone listening from insert your country here. That's right, you're listening to New Sounds Union, and this customizable introduction is especially for you. On this episode, we are delighted to be speaking to Seoul Metro, which is the musical project of Manchester-based artist Chris Gibson. We'll chat about the spirit of Manchester, AI, and juggling creativity with parenthood. But first, let's pick out a couple of tracks that we featured recently on the New Sounds Union Substack. First is a favourite of ours in the form of Secret Sun by Mike Nisbet, a slice of hypnotic doom indie. Taken from Mike's fifth record, The Unbearable Silence of God, this is a summertime anthem for your local goths and sounds a bit like this.
Try to speak and scream, it's easy, 'cause out there I found my secret son. Oh, there I found my secret son. Oh, there I found my secret son. Oh, there I... Up next is Afro Dream by Turin-based Afro Trip, which is an incredible dash of sunshine for the soul, and we challenge you to try and stay still during this track. Here's a little taster to get your foot tapping. If you like the sound of those and think to yourself, I would love to receive great new music to my inbox of choice every week for free, well, you're in luck. You'll find plenty more recommendations at newsoundsunion.substack.com. Do give us a subscribe on Substack to make all of that happen, and also subscribe here to the podcast wherever you might be listening. Basically, sign your life over to us. That's all we're asking. Please and thank you. Okay, people are jumping up and down, clambering on each other's shoulders and screaming like it's the 1960s. Yes, it's time for the headline act of this podcast and our chat with Seoul Metro. Seoul Metro, aka Chris Gibson, released their excellent debut record Under the Same Sky in 2024, which began as a month-by-month singles project and is a hugely enjoyable listen, full of earworm hooks and tight melodies. But now, he's back with new music and plans for the future. But first, let's listen to a little bit of Sad from Under the Same Sky. All right, Chris, hello, Seoul Metro. Welcome to New Sounds Union. How you doing?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. On this summer's evening, although by the time this comes out, it should still be summer, but it might be a slightly different evening, but that's fine. So let's jump straight into it. I suppose with a bit of background, so let's travel back in time to the days before you were Seoul Metro. And I suppose, who were some of the artists who perhaps inspired you to make music, or I suppose some of your favorite artists as well?
Yeah, right. Okay, so right at the beginning, I was in one of those households that musicians often come from, where parents were playing music around all the time, and my mum was really into like David Bowie, Queen, those kind of like big 70s and 80s bands,
big classic
right?
guys.
Yeah, and like David Bowie particularly stuck with me. The way he kind of was such an architect of his sound, and his look as well. Like everything kind of worked together in synergy. So David Bowie, I'm a big fan. Who else? I mean, in a slightly less cool way, I learned guitar listening to and working out Red Hot Chili Peppers records
Oh yeah.
when I was in high school. You know,
I think they're everyone's
start
favorite
somewhere.
band in high school for a bit at least. You know.
yeah,
rite
definitely,
of passage.
definitely. Yeah, they're definitely a high school band for sure. I've still got a soft spot for them though.
Yeah, I still, whenever they release stuff, I'll definitely listen to it. And there's, there's still some gems out there, but often their albums are like 20 tracks long. I think sometimes
Yeah,
they need to be a bit more
they
concise.
do like a magnum opus, don't they? I remember
They
Stadium
do.
Arcadium, and that was like, how many
Yeah.
tracks was that? Like 25 tracks or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that was silly, but
Yeah.
I did. Well, I bought Stadium Arcadium at the time, so I did like that
I think
one.
I did as well
Yeah.
on CD. Those were the days.
Oh
weren't they?
yeah.
I'm giving my age away now.
Oh, that's fine. That is fine. And then you have mentioned previously that obviously, I suppose growing up in Manchester, or at least living in Manchester now, the plethora of Manchester bands have also kind of seeped into your musical world.
It's inescapable, really. Yeah, I was born. Yeah, I was born in Manchester. Moved away for a little bit, and then I've lived back here for a long time. So yeah, you've got your kind of. I think you almost have to sit like a Manchester citizenship test where you identify tracks from Joy Division and the Stone Roses and New Order and Oasis and all that stuff. So, there is definitely a kind of something of that in my DNA, I would say.
Can't escape it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Obsessed with factory records, not just the kind of the big stuff, but like OMD and, the way that the artworks were put together and the kind of the way that the Joy Division records were mixed and produced as well as kind of like, you wouldn't necessarily pick that out of my music, I don't think, but it's been something that's kind of fed into the way that I produce music now.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That's excellent. And then did you get a ticket for Oasis last month?
No, I didn't. Do you know what? I'm going to lose my Manc card for this, but I didn't even try. I thought there's no
at least
point,
I even tried,
Did you? Okay, yeah.
Didn't get
I mean,
close.
it looks like it was amazing.
I think it's ticked the
and
box that everyone
city's
wanted,
been, yeah, the city's been buzzing around it as well. So, it's, it's been a good atmosphere around here. And I've kind of like taken it in by osmosis.
Nice. Oh, there you go. It's cheaper doing it that way, definitely.
Well, that's true. Yeah. That's true. I know some people that live near Heaton Park. I think they heard all of the nights for free, pretty much.
Oh, that's all right, yeah. Yeah, I'm North London, so occasionally, I'll get wafts of Finsbury Park kind of coming over, depending on the wind direction, which is, it's a free gig every now and then.
Depends who's on.
Yeah, no, very true. Were you in any bands prior to kind of this project, or?
I've been in a lot of bands in my time, yeah. I mean, everybody has, haven't they? I think I formed my first band age like 12, playing Red Hot Chili Peppers covers, actually.
Nice, of course.
I'm not making myself sound very like hip here, but I was 12 at the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
And then, at the time it was. And then I was in a band through high school with one of my best friends, which was kind of like, looking back on it, it sounds quite interesting. But it was pretty crazy. We didn't know how to make music, but I had like recording software on my laptop, and we would just layer up like drum loops and then make basically like sort of, we were trying to do like dance punk thing, like a Death from Above 1979 kind of thing.
Yeah.
It didn't sound anything like that. And it was recorded very badly, but it kind of got us started in kind of recording and writing songs and stuff. And then that band went through a bunch of different iterations. We got kind of weirdly close to success actually a couple of times.
Nice.
In a couple of different incarnations. It didn't quite happen for us though. And then I formed a band with my brother a couple of years ago, which was like a sort of Radiohead inspired sort of like proggy indie rock kind of thing. And then I've always been writing songs on my own, so we end up here with a fully solo project. That's Seoul Metro. I don't need to wait for anybody else. Just do it all myself now.
I think that's the main thing. It's obviously there's great elements of being in a band and kind of bouncing off people, but then also if you just want to crack on and do it and you've got, a clear vision, you can just do that.
I mean, there's nobody to tell me that what I'm doing is not good. I just do it, and
Yeah.
you know, we see what happens.
Your idea is always the idea.
Yeah, exactly. But I like it. I like working that way.
Well, I mean, the results have been terrific, I'd say.
Thank you.
And initially, it kind of began as this kind of self-imposed challenge where you wanted to write a song, record it, and release it every month. Was that kind of something you decided to take on, kind of to push you to make music, essentially?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was about being prolific, because I'd done a lot of procrastinating in previous bands and things. You know what musicians are like. We kind of sit around thinking like, oh, I could write something better than whatever's on the radio, and then you kind of don't. You know, you just sit there.
Then you make a cup of tea, and then
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was about kind of pushing myself to just write as many songs as possible, and I was thinking about, you know, like, not that I would ever compare my output to the Beatles, but you think about how prolific they were, just producing so much music all the time. And you look at somebody like Ed Sheeran, for example, who treats songwriting as like a 9-to-5 job. And I was thinking, you know, I just needed to be a bit more sort of regimented with it. And I also wanted to like lay the foundations for Seoul Metro as a project, because I had no music out in the world, and I had to kind of like build the Seoul Metro world. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of forced me to do that first album, be releasing stuff consistently through the year. And then by the end, I'd sort of like built a thing that represents Seoul Metro, and it has its own world and stuff. So yeah, it was a bit of inspiration from the Let It Be documentary a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Just a desire to be as creative as possible, really.
Yeah. And then that kind of world building, was that just everything else that goes alongside it? So kind of artwork and social media and kind of press communications.
Well, I mean, I can't say that I've been good at the social media side of things, but I'm thinking more really about the lyrics, and the like in terms of the music, like world building in terms of the music and the songs. Visual identity, I'm sort of just getting to grips with. It's that part I've always found harder, to be honest.
No, definitely.
I think a lot of musicians do, right? The music is like the fun bit, and then the rest of it is like,
packaging it up can be tricky. But you found, I suppose it was self-imposed deadlines, but were you quite strict on yourself to be like, oh well, I need to finish this song today, so I have to do it, or this is it?
Yeah, it was exactly like that. Yeah, I said I'm going to release a new song on the 1st of every month, nice. And then people got to know that there was going to be a song coming on the 1st of every month, so I couldn't really back out. But it works out really well, and actually I was happy with everything that I produced in that time. And I think it's still, looking back to last year now, I feel like it still stands up. And I can't say that about everything that I've written through my life, you know. So I feel like it worked. And
often the people who write it are the biggest critics of the song that's out there. I think, I find that especially. But no, I think it's a great record. For anyone who hasn't heard it, Under the Same Sky, do check it out. And it was all recorded at home?
Yeah, all recorded at home. So
nice.
This is I'm coming to you from the dining room of my house in Stratford, Manchester. Nice. And it was all recorded upstairs in the spare room of my house in Stratford, Manchester. I say recorded, it was recorded, mixed, mastered, everything up there. Yeah.
So a lot of hours.
Crazy, right?
Spending that room.
A lot of hours spent in that room. Yeah. I like it in there. You have to, really, don't you? So.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think when we interviewed you, a written interview on the Substack, I think last year at some point, you said that there's a lot of people who kind of just need to create whatever that might be. So I suppose, is that something you feel that, you know, whether you were releasing it or not, you've got this urge to write songs?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I've trained myself to write over the years. I mean, you kind of do, like, you find your groove with creating stuff, and I find that, like, if I'm doing mundane tasks, songs just like pop into my head. And then they sort of rattle around in there until I record them and get them out. So I kind of go mental singing a little bit of a song over and over, unless I make it into something else. So it's kind of partly to save me from driving my wife mental, and partly to kind of, just for the joy of it, really. It's like, yeah, it's almost like a therapy thing, it's like a kind of, when you're working on something, you can go into like a flow state sort of thing, and hours pass by, and it kind of, I feel like it's really, really good, like mental health wise, because it's really immersive and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
there's all kinds of benefits, but I would be writing even if I wasn't writing for something, if you see what I mean.
Yes. Yeah. No, completely. Well, I mean, that seems as good a time as any to hear a track from Under the Same Sky. So we're going to play Tomorrow, open brackets, Are You the Same as Me, close brackets. Here it is.
Energy left to me, but I'll be alright. Are you the same as me? Just thinking and thinking and thinking till I can't breathe, 'cause I'm drowning in tomorrow. Are you like me? Just thinking and thinking and thinking till I can't breathe. Are you the same as me? Just walks in.
Before we kind of get into new music, I suppose sticking on Under the Same Sky briefly, you've, I think the artwork was created with AI, and you've recently posted on social media that you're changing the artwork and kind of re-uploading to all the social sites. Talk us a bit about why you decided to do that.
I guess it's kind of a long story in a way. The AI thing, it was kind of, I'd been aware of it for a few years, because there were those sites online, aren't there, like the Night Cafe and those kinds of ones, where AI art had kind of been bubbling along under the surface before the kind of ChatGPT explosion and all of that stuff. So I was sort of vaguely aware of it. I'm not a graphic designer or a designer of any sort of kind, right? Yeah. So in my head, getting into that world was sort of a way to more efficiently produce this solo project without having to rely on anybody else.
Yes. Yeah.
But as the conversation around AI has become more sort of like at the front of the public consciousness, and I've sort of like heard more about the way that the models are trained and that kind of thing, I sort of have become more and more like anti-AI in art.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, obviously I know there are like applications like spotting patterns in health at a population level and these kinds of things that are like potentially great for loads of different stuff, but which is, amazing. But for art, the way that it's trained kind of relies basically on what's essentially mass copyright violation, right? And so when I kind of saw, people like Nick Clegg coming out and saying, well, we can't respect copyright because it would make AI not viable. You kind of think, well, maybe AI is not viable then. In art, especially.
From an artistic perspective.
Obviously he was like kind of arguing the other side of the coin, but I sort of thought, well, those artworks that I've kind of like produced through refining with prompts and things like that, that's not really the creative act, number one. And number two, it's kind of just producing versions of what other people have already done, right? So it's like it's been trained on other people's work, basically. So I suppose I've seen some people argue that that's no different to taking inspiration as an artist, and I'd say, it's more direct than that, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're a human artist and you see or hear something and you digest it and you think about what it means to you and what it makes you feel, and it's kind of filtered through all your other influences, and then you kind of try and make your version of that thing, it has your imprint on it, right? Whereas if you type in a prompt, it's just kind of doing exactly the thing but slightly different to make it not quite look like that, you know.
Yeah.
So it just feels like a direct kind of violation of people's intellectual property, and for that reason I took down all the artwork from that album cycle. Not all of it was entirely AI, but just because some of it had been, and I didn't want there to be a question about it.
No, fair enough.
I just removed all of it and replaced it with an image,
Yeah.
which was like a sort of a revised version of the image that I'd used as my profile picture on social media for the first album cycle,
Yeah.
because that felt representative of the record. Yeah. Nice. So that's why, I mean, I've sort of become not an activist necessarily, but just like as my opinions evolved on it, it kind of didn't fit anymore. So I changed it.
No, I think it's a really great thing to do. And as you say, it is so fast evolving. And, you know, when it came out, it's this new shiny toy, which has so many possibilities. And obviously, I think, you know, as you say, there's probably lots of great things AI will be really good at facilitating. But I think artistic perspective, maybe, there needs to be some barriers put up, as you said. So I think it's a positive move. And also, we're probably, you know, in 2 years' time, we'll know so much more about AI and it will have developed so much more as well. So it is something you've just got to keep in the loop with, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've committed not to use it on the creative side of Seoul Metro. Just because I think authenticity is really sort of important, you know, with art, and you sort of don't want there to be any question of that, you know. So like lyrics, imagery, music, it's all me, it's all real, it all happens, you know.
For better or
in
worse,
real life
it's all
stuff.
you.
Exactly. And people might think it's bad, but I've heard some AI generated country music and that was much worse, trust me.
Oh, yeah, I'm tempted to listen to that, but I think I kind of know what it might sound like.
Stay out of the hole.
Well, let's talk about other new music. Let's talk about your new music. As we speak, it's coming out tomorrow, but you know, when this is published, it will have been out for a few weeks. So you've got a new single, Bring Back the Good Times.
Indeed.
And what was the creative process behind this one? You've stepped away from the month by month, track by track.
Yeah, partly because it's kind of not sustainable to do that forever. And I sort of wanted to let the record sit, you know, and let people listen to it a bit and kind of let it sink in. Partly also because I had a baby last year.
Indeed. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. And as anybody will know if they've been anywhere near young kids, you just don't have the free time to do
vacuums.
that. Exactly. Yeah. So you have to kind of like create space and time for it when you're able to. So that's kind of like slowed me down, but I think it's also allowed me to approach things a little bit differently. So yeah, Bring Back the Good Times is the first step towards what will be a next album. It's not fully formed yet, but that's the aim. I'm an albums guy, so I'll always be aiming for creating an album, and I've got a couple of tracks sort of in the can, as they say. So yeah, Bring Back the Good Times is the first one of those. It's a slightly different sonic direction, I suppose, because Under the Same Sky is very much like kind of synthy indie pop with some guitars in there obviously as well, but I wouldn't say that it was like a guitar record, right? But Bring Back the Good Times very much is a guitar record, I would say, and it's kind of taking it back to the roots that we were talking about at the beginning, back to high school, back to listening to noughties alternative rock and 90s Britpop and those Manchester records that we sort of referenced at the beginning, and thinking like, how can I kind of adapt my writing and my sound to bring in a bit more of that influence, because that feels very like authentic to me at the moment. And it's not just because Oasis came back. I actually wrote Bring Back the Good Times before Oasis came back. Let the record show. So yeah, the other thing that happened is that I inherited a guitar actually, which is a bit of a weird story. So my step auntie was Claire Mooney, who is a singer-songwriter on the Manchester scene. She was big in the LGBTQ plus kind of scene. She like led the Pride marches in Manchester a few times and things like that. So she was kind of like well known on the circuit, and she did shows on local radio here and things like that. So she passed away last year, sadly, and she left me a 70s Fender Stratocaster.
Oh wow.
Which I got set up properly and stuff like that, and I kind of was like, I'd always viewed a guitar as like a tool, if you see what I mean. So whereas this, I very much wanted to like look after the guitar, and I started like buying pedals and sort of experimenting with guitar in ways that I hadn't for many years. And it was like, put on the distortion pedal and out comes Bring Back the Good Times. That the guitar riff, the kind of like blur-ish guitar riff at the beginning was like one of the first things that I wrote on that guitar.
Oh, nice.
And the songs have just been like flowing out of it. It's almost feels like they were kind of in there, you know, already just waiting.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a weird mystical. I'm not a mystical guy, but that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, it's crazy that when you play, well, if you just pick up a different guitar and suddenly a chord progression can seem quite different, and new doors are opened.
Yeah, totally.
And then I suppose you were talking about kind of your world building kind of Seoul Metro from a lyrical perspective earlier. Is that, so even if slightly, you know, we've now moved a bit more to a guitar-led sound, are there kind of key themes or other roots that keep it very much in the same world as the previous record?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, lyrically, I think I had somebody in my family actually tell me recently that she thought my lyrics were a bit quirky, was the word she used, unusual.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to choose to take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I'd say
but
so.
I think it's a kind of, to an extent, I sort of write how I speak, sort of, like not in a kind of in a rap or a spoken word kind of way, but I sort of try to use phrases that are maybe rooted in my sort of like northern rhythm of speaking, right?
Yeah, and your day to day
using unusual phrases and things like that. And I've got kind of friends that are based around the north, like in Leeds and places, and they kind of will just say bizarre things occasionally. So I try to work that in by kind of using slightly strange phrases and things like that. So I think that still happens in Bring Back the Good Times. There's a kind of an anxiety, I guess, about like the state of the modern world that runs through pretty much all my work. even the kind of love songs are couched in like we're in love and the world's falling apart kind of thing. Well, you know,
I mean, yeah. It's the truth.
Kind of true, right? So so bring Back the Good Times is kind of it's that, but through the lens of like inheriting this guitar, looking backwards, and it's really sort of like about, I guess, finding like solace or finding comfort in nostalgia in a way, looking back to when things were maybe better, maybe it was rose tinted glasses, like who knows, but thinking, you know, there must be something that we can learn from before all this mad stuff started happening, you know. And I think a lot of people probably feel like that, maybe, I don't know. So there's a kind of little bit of there's a bit of cynicism in it a little bit as well, but it is me genuinely trying to process being in
2025.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, how did we get here?
It's a good album title. And then so we can expect maybe a full length later this year or maybe next year, do you reckon?
Good question. I mean, I'd love to have it finished by the end of the year this year. I'd love to. I don't know practically whether that can happen, but I'll try. If not, it'll be probably in the first half of next year, I would say.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying.
And how have you, I mean, you've alluded to it there as well. I suppose juggling creativity and making music with being a new parent, is it just you have to be quite strict with your time when you can make music and when you can't.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've always been somebody that comes up with ideas like on the go or when I'm doing something else. So like if I'm commuting to my day job or, you know, if I'm, I don't know, putting together some IKEA furniture or something like that, I'll kind of have like ideas come in and I write them down on my phone and things like that. And then you just have to be, you have to kind of occasionally be able to create some protected time to be creative in. And it took me a little while to adjust to that, because sometimes when you want to write something, nothing comes out, you know, and nothing works. And there's a little bit of like a pressure to think, you know, thinking like, well, I have to make something happen now. So exactly. Yeah. So you have to be okay with like the slot just being something rubbish, possibly, because the good thing might happen next time, you know?
Yeah.
And once you've got kind of, I mean, for me, once I've got a kind of the start of a track in my, on my computer, I can go back to it and just chip away at it every time that I get the time. So it's slower. The process hasn't changed per se, but it's just kind of, it's like
just,
making time for it, you know?
pace.
That's the difficult bit, but you got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Well, we look forward to hearing it whenever it comes. But yeah, let's listen to a bit of the single now. So this is Bring Back the Good Times.
And I don't wanna give in, but how can I begin to stop what's in motion now? Let's just rewind the tape and start it all again. There was a good bit back there somewhere. Bring back the good times.
Moving a little away from the creativity to the rest of the being a modern musician, so kind of getting it into people's ears and the marketing. How did you go about and how did you find promoting your last record, especially because I know you did it on a minimal to nothing budget essentially?
Yeah. It was a nothing budget pretty much. I mean, over the years, I've tried loads of different stuff. I've tried, you know, from like playlisting things like Submit Hub and those kinds of things. Like not like payola ones, but the you know, the ones where it's like you get some credits and then you submit it to a load of curators and they all say like, this is great, but the vocals panned 2 degrees too far to the left or whatever it is. There's whatever reason they can't playlist you. Yeah. I had somebody refuse actually to I'm not gonna say who it was, but if they listen to this, they'll know it was them, I guess, or they might not remember actually. I had somebody refuse to playlist Anywhere from Under the Same Sky because during the chorus, I'd panned the synth too far to the left for their liking.
Oh wow! I mean,
I was like. They were like, this element is too important to be panned that far to the left. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Too important, but I'm still not gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, there is a vocal there as well that needs to be in the middle. So, you know, anyway, whatever. You know, the Beatles panned an entire drum kit to the left. So whatever. Anyway, I've mentioned the Beatles loads here. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but, you know, they did so much.
Their
right?
footprint is big.
It's everywhere. So, yeah, I tried that stuff with previous projects and things and kind of thought like, it's really difficult to, you know, to get anything to happen that way.
Yeah.
I mean, in previous bands, we were lucky enough to have people from the industry reaching out to us and kind of, you know, pluggers offering to, you know, take tracks to Radio X and places like that. I haven't got any of that with this with this project, unfortunately, but that is the best way, I think, to have the biggest impact, right? So for me, it's very much been about personal connections and kind of like literally sending it directly to people that I think will like it. And sort of trying to make connections on social media as well. So from Instagram's sister app Threads, that's probably actually been where the most new people have heard me, I would say, because there's loads of musicians on there, there's loads of people like looking for new music and sort of people that are involved in like local music media and things like that. And it seems to be much less, at least the bit that I see in my algorithm is much less kind of world endy than Twitter and, you know, the other social media platforms. So that for me
it's a lot
has
more
been,
positive, isn't it?
yeah, totally. I think there's like a really nice sort of community of people that want to lift each other up and not get dragged down in the sort of 2025-ness of it all. So that direct connection has been the best thing for me. And it's interesting because if you look at it from I think people kind of gravitate towards thinking, you know, I need to up my Spotify monthly listeners or whatever. And Spotify's another question actually, but you know, for me, but in terms of like money, not to be too kind of, you know, vulgar about it or anything like that, but in terms of money, the return for me has been so much bigger on a handful of physical sales or digital downloads or whatever it is through something like Bandcamp.
Yeah.
I think I've probably made about 20 quid from streaming in the last 2 years. Frankly.
Yeah, it's depressing, isn't it?
Yeah, so like those personal connections and the sort of like direct connections have been the most, like they're the most fulfilling as well, because those guys will message you and say like, this new track, I absolutely love it, and I like this lyric and I like this bit and whatever. That for me is so much more kind of it's more fulfilling than seeing, you know, X number of 100,000 Spotify monthly listeners or whatever.
So much more personal.
I suppose what I'm saying is I'm trying to justify not being very good at promoting my stuff.
Well, I found out about you, so you know.
Yeah. I can't have done that badly. Yeah.
Exactly. And how did you go about your physical records? Did you kind of do a small run, or was it like
No, I used one of those new I forgot what it's called now. I'll have to look it up, and maybe, I don't know if you put notes out with the show or anything like that, maybe we can let people know what it was, but it was one of those like press to order things. Okay, so the price was like much higher. But it was you know, a handful of super keen people wanted like a vinyl version. And I wanted a vinyl version as well for my own shelf, you know. So so I put it up on there and a couple of people bought it, and I was like, you know, honored by that people wanted to have me in their physical record collection, because I feel like that's so much more like meaningful, right, than being on someone's like liked playlist or whatever, you know. It just feels like a bigger thing to me, but maybe I'm just getting old.
No, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's a weird one, having grown up with CDs, and then you know, I buy the odd vinyl, but then I do stream a lot, and then there's just records you kind of forget about, because you might have streamed them loads, but because you don't have the physical thing, and they just get lost in the online world. You're like,
totally.
I love that record, but I just don't have it. So
that's so true.
That's really good. And then, well, I suppose you mentioned threads. I suppose social media is kind of a necessity for any artist, isn't it? But I suppose you took some time off earlier this year from them. I suppose what's your relationship with it? Do you?
I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with social media, really. I mean, I'm one of those like horrible millennials that's just very like anti being online all the time, but then it also has to be online all the time, you know. So for me, I took the time off just because I was falling down reels holes, just like scrolling on Instagram, and you lose so much time that way. And it also, like, for me, it just made me feel physically tired all the time. Like if you start the day and the first thing you're doing is like scrolling through reels, looking at a screen at like 6 a.m. or whatever, it's or whatever time you get up, it's you know,
we haven't all got kids.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 6 is a lion for me nowadays, mate. But the first thing you do is you're looking at reels and just like falling down the hole, and you know, dopamine, like little dopamine hit, whatever. I found that it physically was making me sort of like unhappy, just like really tired. So that was part of it. And part of it was just like the discourse and the kind of like, I guess like the overwhelm of having to know everything all the time, and of sort of like not that I'm a particularly vocal participant in social media, but like anytime anybody says anything, if they're a bit wrong because they didn't know much about the subject, then it's like people are like, well, you should know everything about this particular subject, you know. And it's like, well, not everybody knows everything about everything, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not saying it's necessarily okay not to have an opinion about certain things that are happening in the world. Like, you should be informed and you should be educated, but like you should also be able to do that without, you know, burning your retina looking at the news all the time, you know.
Yeah,
So
there's a fine line.
yeah,
or balance.
yeah, so it's difficult, and I think music is probably one of the only reasons that I've not become like a social media hermit and just left, is because you kind of need it, because otherwise nobody hears what you're doing, except for me, and I do it mostly for myself, but obviously I would like some people to actually hear you know, what you're producing. It's
Definitely so. And obviously the nature of the project being just yourself, you've never gigged as Seoul Metro. Do you think, and I think you've also previously said that a lot of kind of, you love the recording process of the kind of creativity, but yeah, do you think you'll ever go on stage as Seoul Metro, whether just on your own or
I think if I was going to do it, I'd have to put a band together, because like my arrangements are so like dense. I like to kind of fill every bit of space in the sonic spectrum, so you can't really do that yourself unless I did like a stripped back acoustic whatever, which you know is not off the cards. I'd be happy to do that as well, but I mean I'd love to put a band together. My brother is a really, really talented drummer, so, you know, I'd get him on board. I mean, one of the other band that I mentioned was with him on drums. And, you know, I need more friends, really. I need more musical friends. I need a friend who's a bass player. I need a friend who can play synths and things, you know. So it's but I mean, the short answer is yes, I'd love to. Yeah. And when I can find the time for it, and the personnel, I will definitely want to, you know, get out there and play live, because I love playing live. I haven't played live since before the pandemic, and frankly, I really miss it. Yeah, I really miss it. So I'd love to get back into it.
Yeah, no, it's as much as I like recording, and sometimes if, you know, it's chucking it down or it's a cold winter's evening, you're like, sometimes the thought of playing live isn't always super appealing, especially if, you know, the room might not be very or completely full, but then I think even when you're on stage, you know, with the people you like making music with, it's a fun experience, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I've played to my share of empty rooms and just the sound guy, and even that is fun on a level, you know, just getting to play your stuff like really loud. Is really good. We've all had empty rooms. I think it's a rite of passage, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
I'm talking of rites of passage. That kind of leads us on to our final question. So we always ask if there's one piece of advice you'd give to another emerging or up and coming artist. Yeah, I suppose it could be about anything in the process. Yeah, what would that be?
I would say I'm gonna go into an anecdote which I've told a million times, but not in like media like this, so people might not know this story. Nice. So when I was younger, I used to work in a bakery, and one of the people that frequented said bakery was Ian Brown of Stone Roses fame, and he used to drop in and just occasionally say like really cryptic stuff in a way that you would hope that Ian Brown would, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And he would sort of like swagger in and be like, "Yeah, all right, mate," and then he would say something really mad and then disappear. And this one time, one of the other like women that I was working with said to him, "Oh, our Chris is in a band. Have you got any advice for him?" And he turned around and he looked me straight in the eyes and he went, "Don't turn left." And I was like, I might have to turn left at some point in my life, Ian. I'm not sure what you mean. But then he followed it up after an uncomfortably long pause. He followed it up with people in the music industry are going to try and make you turn left. Don't turn left. And what he was really saying was like, be yourself.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice, is just, do it first and foremost for yourself and be as like authentic and you as you can be, because nobody else can do that. Like rather than trying to copy stuff or do your version of stuff that's like big right now, do your version of stuff that you loved growing up. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I've just been kind of talking about. So that's like a sort of like a bit of a sort of airy fairy bit of advice.
No, I don't want it. Ian Brown endorsed advice. We'll take that. Definitely. No, I think, very true as well. And then we also ask our guests to recommend a song by an artist that we might not have heard of. So if you could introduce your song, and then we'll hear a little snippet from that as well.
Yeah, sounds great. So the artist that I'm recommending is a fellow Manchester-based artist called Nina Cobham. And she came onto my radar quite recently, actually, because someone that I work with is really into her stuff, actually, and she's really interesting because she's bilingual. So she speaks English and Spanish, and she kind of weaves the two languages together. So like one line will be in English and the next will be in Spanish. I find that really interesting. So the song that I've chosen to recommend is Mejor Contigo (brackets Homesick) by Nina Cobham.
Excellent. All right, let's give it a spin right now.
Mejor contigo, estoy agradecida, you wanted baby, que quiere quedarte aquí conmigo, sola, solita, nunca tuve miedo, no sé por qué lo dije, wanna straight off in my road, don't wanna pretend or have to play it down, if this is what I wanted, what I waited to have.
Lovely stuff. And then finally, anything else you'd like to plug or promote or mention that we haven't discussed? Pretty broad.
We've discussed loads of stuff. I guess just the new single, really. Bring back the good times, stream it. I'll get into the Spotify side of things, maybe another time, but stream it wherever you want to stream it.
Yeah, we can, because I know another artist who's just taken all his music off Spotify. I feel, obviously there's been a debate for a number of years just in terms of what artists get paid, which is one side of it, and then obviously recently what Spotify are doing with the money that they are making is not ideal. But do you think, but it's also quite a brave move to take your music from Spotify, isn't it? Because it is a discovery tool.
Yeah, so I've done like a halfway house thing where I've left some of the singles up there, but I've said that I'm not going to publish albums there.
Oh, interesting.
So if because people kind of say like, oh, use it as a billboard, it's the new version of radio or whatever. I was like, well, okay, I'll use it like that then, and have a bit up there. And if people want more, then they'll have to go somewhere else, unfortunately. You're right, it is a bold move. I think I looked up their market share and it's like 60-70% of streaming in the UK. So it's like it is a very bold move to take all your music down, for sure. I haven't quite been brave enough to do that, but I did think, as a listener as well, I've actually switched away from Spotify, like as a consumer. I've moved to a different streaming service precisely because of what you mentioned, because of the investment practices of one certain CEO of theirs. So so plug in the single. I would say if you must stream on Spotify, then it will be there. But if you can stream on a different platform, I would urge you to, think about doing so. And if you want to go to Bandcamp, you can download it and own it and not have to rent it off anybody. So you can do
Keep
that
it
as well.
wherever. Do what you wish of it.
Yeah,
we're
exactly. Put it on a USB stick and listen to it in your car.
Yeah, we had a street party a few weeks ago, and the guy brought a big speaker for it, and I think I thought, is there going to be Bluetooth or something? But no, he just had a big USB stick, and I quite enjoyed that. Very retro.
I'm here for that. Yeah, what a legend that guy is.
I mean, he did start
Keeping
with
it
Who
old
Let the
school.
Dogs Out. So, I mean, musically, but it was a family
Okay.
street party. So we'll take it.
Yeah, he's an early adopter. Other people will have better taste, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
he's
we'll
doing
all
the
have
right thing.
cassettes back next year. So,
Yeah, that's true.
that.
That's true.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. This has been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, do listen to the single and wish you all the best for the future of Seoul Metro. Cheers,
Thanks
man.
so much for having me. It's been really fun. Thanks.
Lovely. Thank you. All right. Well, there you have it. Podcast complete. Good work, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to New Sounds Union. And if you'd like to get in touch, you can drop us an email at newsoundsunion@gmail.com or find us on the New Sounds Union Substack. Also, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. That would be particularly excellent. This has been a Globe Bureau production. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.